Citations are how we attribute the ideas that we're using from others. There's generally a formal way to do this. There are a lot of different styles, but in this video I'm going to show you how to properly attribute your quotations and paraphrases, mostly using the MLA style, which is most of what you'll use in a lot of your classes here at MMA. So MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, MLA, and it actually refers to the entire formatting of the paper, not just the citations. But citations are what we're going to focus on, and it's what's typically required in your classes. There are two types of citation, the in-text citation and the works cited page. We're going to go over both of them. The first part, I just want you to know why we're doing this, what the goals of each are. For in-text citations, the goals are to provide enough information to add context to the quotation, so we know where it came from and how to assess it, and to allow your readers to find the full citation if they want to know more. So just that in-text citation won't necessarily give them all the tools they need to go find that source themselves, but it will point them to the works cited page where you will provide that information for them. So the works cited page is a full list of all of the works that you cited in text. It usually comes at the end of the paper, and it might be an entirely separate page. The goals for this are to help your reader access the information in case they find it interesting. They might also be checking up to see if they agree with your conclusions, because they won't necessarily know that just based on your paper. They want to read the original, and that's great. The second part of that is to add enough context that your reader can judge your sources more fully. So, do they think that this is a good source? Do they think that it's a reliable source? Do they think that this is an appropriate source for making the argument that you do? This works cited page gives them all those tools because it helps them actually find that work and look at it themselves. So, when we're looking at it, you'll see a citation for both of these. This is looking at the same source, but in text you can see in that top line the IMO Circ 1321 IMO 2009 specifies control of flammable material and ignition sources. That parenthetical in the parentheses IMO 2009 is the in-text citation. It's in the middle of the text and it gives us just enough information to find it on the works cited page. IMO, of course, standing for International Maritime Organization, which is something that you might come across a lot of here. So then on the works cited page, in alphabetical order, are all of the different works that are cited in the paper. And I can see IMO 2009 and then a lot more information with the full title, the section that they were using. And I now have enough information that I can go into my library sources or other information sources and actually find that exact citation, read the original text, and make sure that I have a full understanding of it. So how to actually do the works cited. This is that longer, more formal reference at the end of the paper. MLA has you using core elements, and there are the same optional elements regardless of what kind of source you're using, whether it's a book or a website or a video. You use all of the ones that you should use that are available for that source, and you leave out the ones that aren't relevant. So you might not have a version number for a video, but you might have that for a magazine or for a book. So these are all available elements, and you're going to work through the same format for each one of them. There are also containers. So MLA works by nesting the source within as many containers as you need to. So in this example, you can see that there's a chapter of a book. So the chapter is your source, and the book is the container that holds it. So lots of different things could be the source or the container. So as I said, a book would be a container of a chapter. A website would be the container of a web page. A DVD might be the container of the special features. So you're going to use as many containers as you need. It might be that you're getting a section of a chapter. The chapter would be the container, the book would be the container of that chapter, and theoretically you could go on from there. Maybe the library is the container of that book. But for the most part, for your needs, you're really just going to focus on what is that kind of ultimate unit that you're using, in this case a book or a website, and you can use as many of those and reuse those core elements as many times as you need to in order to show what the source is and how you'd actually get to that source through the containers. So I know that's a little weird, so we're going to look at some examples. And we're going to use the Style MLA website, which is actually a great source for this. And I'm going to say you've probably used EasyBib before. I have nothing against those sites. It's a formula. You just need to plug it in. But I will say that sites like EasyBib are only as good as the information that you put into them. And sometimes they don't even do a great job of that. And the ultimate result is always your responsibility. So this will show you exactly how to do it. Doing that by hand is a great way to, and it gets a lot faster when you have a little practice. But there are also automated features you can use. I have no problem with that, but make sure they're ultimately correct. Go back through them and make sure you understand what it's supposed to look like. So the first thing we're going to look at are those examples. So here we have the MLA Style Center. This is style.mla.org, and it's actually a great resource for doing your citations. So you can buy or download the MLA handbook, but even their website has great information for you. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is this actual practice template that you can use. So this will show you exactly the different sections that you can fill out and how to do that while showing you the results of that work. Here we have the different boxes that we can fill in information for, and we also have a key up here so that as our citation builds, you can see which part of it is there. So for this particular presentation, the author might be me. It shows me that there's a period at the end of author, so I add that. The title of the source might be Citations. Title of the container, I would call that PD 101. You're having this in class. Other contributors might be Lonnie Christian. I forgot to add that comma up here, which it shows me I would need, and the comma down here as well. I don't think that there are different versions. If I did different versions for different sections, I might add that there. And the publisher, I could either consider that the library or the academy, depending on how big I want these containers to be. So here I'll add Nutting Memorial Library, comma. The publication date is 2020, comma. And the location is probably Canvas. The location is often the page numbers. That's what they mean by location, or the web address, in this case, Canvas. And then I might add an optional element, add a container, I should say. And this might be Maine Maritime Academy. And so that's our container there. I don't think there would be any other information about where it is, so I would just add a period at the end because that's how this particular section ends. So you can see my citation up here, Dyer, Ann, Citations, PD 101, Christian Lonnie, Nutting Memorial Library 2020, Canvas, Maine Maritime Academy. So you can see which elements these are. I think this is a great way just to kind of see how this all fits together. You can do this for lots of different sources and you can practice with it, or you can use it for your actual papers, whatever you think is useful. Next, I'm going to show you the Works Cited Quick Guide. This is a way to kind of get started with what these things look like. You can see some of these images that I just used in the earlier part of the presentation. And we can click Get Started in order to see some examples. So here is a sample paper that is in a book. And so we have the author of that chapter, the title of it, the container is the book itself, those contributors are the editors, no version or number, the publisher is Cambridge University Press from 1997, and the location are the pages 131 to 48. And you can see what that would ultimately look like. I like this because it shows you exactly where you would find this information in a source like this. In the next example, here's a video on a website. I love NASA videos, so this is great. There's no author because it's just published by NASA. There is a title of this video. The container is NASA's Journey to Mars videos, so that's that first container. There is an editor for that. The publisher is NASA. The publication date is provided, and the location is the web address. So you can see on this one, it does provide the publisher, the publication date, other contributors down below the video. Not all videos will be like this, but if you scroll down and see that there is information about when the page was updated, who the page editor is, then that's a great opportunity to add more information in there. And we'll look at one more quick example. In this case, this is a journal article that's retrieved from a database. And this database is one that looks very similar to many of our databases, so that's helpful. In this case, we have two containers. So there's the article itself, there's the journal that it's in, which is an academic magazine, and then there's the database that that journal is in. So we have two different containers. So again, it will show you where you can find the information, how you would fill it into this template, and ultimately what that final works cited list entry would be. So again, we have the article within a journal within a database. And that gives us a really good overview of what this would look like. So next, let's take a look at those in-text citations. There is a nice basic format that we're going to go through, and it will change a little bit depending on what kind of source it is and what information you have, but overall it's going to look pretty similar from source to source. So the first kind is a source with an author and a page number. So if you're using a book that has an author and uses pages, then it would just look like the author's last name, space, and the number of the page. Really simple. So I've provided an example here. It might look like Dyer 23. The next one might be a source that doesn't have an author or page numbers. In that case, you might just use the title. So this presentation would be, quote, Citations. That's the title of it. You might have sources with multiple authors. So that's the author and the page. So it's just a variation on author page. So here we might have Dyer and Gargani 23. But the goal is to identify which source you used to allow your reader to find the full citation in the works cited list. So you can choose whether to include the information as part of your sentence or as a parenthetical citation. So it doesn't always have to be in those parentheses. It might be part of your sentence where you introduce the author and the page, or the title of the work. So a couple examples to show that. Here's one. As Roberto Clemente states in his October 1971 speech, accomplishment is something you can't buy. If you have a chance and don't make the most of it, you are wasting your time on this earth. Another one. True heroism is remarkably sober, very undramatic. It is not the urge to surpass all others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever cost. Ash 428. According to Joe Frazier, boxing is the only sport you can get your brain shook, your money took, and your name in the Undertaker book. 438. So you can see in each one of these I include who said it and maybe the title if there's no page number, or the page number if there is. Sometimes that's in the sentence, like according to Joe Frazier, and sometimes it's fully in the parentheses, Ash 428. And like the last example there with Joe Frazier, you can do the author in the sentence and the page number in the parentheses. You just have to make sure that you have both of those qualities in your text so that they can find it in your works cited. So there are a few resources that I really recommend for this. One of them is called Purdue OWL, which is the Purdue University Online Writing Lab. This has lots of information that you're going to really benefit from, and it provides, basics about in-text citations. It'll give you some basic rules, general guidelines for how to do it, and then examples depending on what kind of source it is. There is also lots of information on how to do the works cited page, whether just a basic format, books, periodicals. All of that information is there, including overall guidance as well as examples. So I really recommend that you use this source, which is the Purdue OWL site. Also, pointing back toward that Style MLA site, there is more information there. They even post articles and blog entries about some of the more specialized sources to help you through it. I really recommend that, as well as that great template to use. And On the library website, in our databases, most of them have a citation button. So when you have found a source, usually on the right side or at the top of the page, depending on which one you're in, there will be a button that provides you citations in a few different formats. Feel free to grab that. It really helps when you're starting your research to just use that to help collect the information. Just like EasyBib though, it's not always right, and I would say there's usually something a little not right about it. So make sure that you go back and really make sure that it's correct so that you don't get docked any points for their mistake. I don't expect that you will now have all of the skills you need to do it correctly right away, but I hope that this gives you the tools so that you can start practicing with it and getting more familiar with it. If you need any help, just ask the library. Library@mma.edu is a great way to reach us, or calling our phone number if you're okay with phones, which is 207-326-2263. And finally, we also have a chat feature on our website, so you can always just chat with us live anytime the library is open.